Hello and welcome to MtM Vegas. The Super Bowl is over and it was crazy in Las Vegas. We'll talk about what it was like on the strip, plus all of the betting apps crashing, what exactly happened. Two of Las Vegas's nicest hotels are now renovating their rooms. We're getting a first look at what the rooms will look like, and they are stunning. We'll show you all of that coming up. Plus, Caesars Entertainment is getting cheap with the drinks, cutting back on pours, and even cutting out some liquors, things like that. Are the bean counters going to ruin Las Vegas? We'll talk all about that coming up right now. If you like this video, don't forget to smash that thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, share it with friends. Thanks so much for watching. Let's hit it. So, Mark, how was your Super Bowl Sunday? Did you celebrate it in style in Michigan? Was it too cold to go outside?
Yeah, definitely too cold, but the game was pretty terrible, I thought, overall. I was thinking it was going to be a good game, and it didn't live up to any of the hype. I'm not a Tom Brady fan. He went to Michigan. I'm a Michigan State fan, so that was another dagger to my heart. But as soon as you saw the Kansas City Chiefs offensive line was all switching up, you knew it was going to be trouble, and they just couldn't get anything going, and it was terrible overall. Really, it was probably worse than the college football playoff, which is saying a lot. So what'd you guys do? Anything cool? Just hung out?
No, just hung out, watched the game. And the only takeaway I think from the game is that anybody who says that Tom Brady isn't the best ever after having won 7 Super Bowls they're a hater to such a level that
I definitely made a deal with the devil. He just ends up falling into the perfect situations every time, but whatever. Moving on.
No, but when you stretch that out over an entire career, 10 Super Bowls, 7 Super Bowl championships, it's not an accident. I mean, he's the best ever. There's no doubt about that. And I say that as a Packers fan with lots of love for Favre and Rodgers, but neither one clearly is in that same level. And I don't think that Elway or Montana or anybody else had a career that matched up either.
My wife posted a meme today. She said, if you really want to be known the GOAT, come to the Lions and then show us that you can still do it. So if anybody can win with Detroit, then they're automatically the GOAT. First time, you only win 1 Super Bowl. If it's with the Lions, you're the GOAT.
I mean, the truth is that, yeah, I mean, it's a sad truth that anybody goes to Detroit, they're probably not winning the Super Bowl. It'd be Tom Who, right? But, speaking of sports, let's get into to what happened here with the Super Bowl and all these sports betting apps, because I know BetMGM, which is the app of all the MGM sports books, crashed, and they weren't able initially to pay out certain bets. And I think even their sportsbook software, their kiosks, everything crashed. And then I think some of the more regional sports betting apps around the country crashed as well.
Yeah, here in Detroit, they just went on. We did legalized sports betting last year, like a week before the pandemic hit. So actually it was like a day before. People went and made bets, and then the next day all sports shut down. And then the apps rolled out about 2 weeks ago. So it's kind of like perfect timing for them to get it rolling. They have all these offers. And one of the offers was you could make a $5 bet on FanDuel. And if you pick the right team for the Super Bowl, you win $255. So a $250 win off a $5 bet, which is insane. So my buddy's wife wanted to get in on it. I sent her a referral, and we sat there trying to log in and set it up for a good 30, 45 minutes of, oh, we're experiencing high volumes. And it just kept crashing over and over, and relog in and log out and verify and CAPTCHA and all this stuff. We couldn't get through. Pretty much all the apps here, DraftKings, BetMGM, FanDuel, everything went down right before the Super Bowl. So she never got her bet in, and she was going to pick the Bucks. So she missed out on $250. It was a mess. I don't know what they weren't expecting people to want to bet right before the game. I don't know.
Yeah, it just seems like it's another COVID thing, like an oddity that maybe more people were betting than ever had before or normally would because they're sitting at home. But it definitely seems like the infrastructure for all these apps was tested, and it does seem like it sucks for people who couldn't actually place the bets. It does seem like everybody who did place a bet was eventually able to get their money. And I saw videos on Twitter of like huge lines at MGM, I think at the Mandalay Bay Sportsbook, like stretching through the casino. And it was a little bit crazy. But that kind of brings me to the next thing. Vegas was really busy for Super Bowl weekend. I'll say that like anecdotally, I was there. I was at Mandalay Bay and Luxor on Saturday night, and the casino at Luxor was full, just packed, absolutely packed. Every table was full, every machine, or almost every machine was full. It was just busy, full of people. Mandalay Bay was pretty busy as well. Although hotel rates were still pretty low, Hotel rates weren't significantly more on the weekend than they were during the week. So that tells you that they're still not filling the rooms. But I guess between locals and people coming from California, were certainly a lot of people. I have not seen a casino that busy since COVID at all. At all. This was the busiest I've
Well,
seen a casino.
isn't Super Bowl usually the busiest weekend for Vegas every year too? So you're playing off of that. That plus, March Madness is always the first weekend's always really busy, but I think Super Bowl takes the most visitors every year. So I'm not overly surprised, a little surprised, but that's kind of crazy that the rooms weren't filling up, especially with them being cheap. If you're going to drive from LA for 3 hours, why wouldn't you spend $100 to spend the night or whatever? But yeah,
I
weird.
just don't think there's enough people coming from LA ever to be able to fill all the rooms. There's 100,000 plus hotel rooms, and the weekend before, when I had stayed at Nomad, I talked about that last week. The rates were almost the same on the weekend as they were during the week. This week they were a little bit higher, but only about maybe twice as much. I saw some Caesars Entertainment properties for $50, $60 on Saturday night, and with Friday night rates the same as during the week. So clearly, they're still not able to fill the rooms, and I just don't think that's going to happen, even on the busiest leisure weekends, without business travelers, without everything else. But it was great. I loved seeing the Luxor Casino as busy as it was. It felt like Vegas, the noise, the action, and I don't know that I had been noticing that we had been missing that until I walked in that casino and felt it and heard it. So it was good to see, and I imagine we'll continually see crowds increase through the spring and summer.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see how March Madness plays out, how busy it is. First weekend's always busy, but what are the following weekends, which are usually still very busy? Will they keep the trend up, or will they drop off quite a bit after that first weekend? So we'll see.
Yeah,
Only a month away. Best sporting event of the year.
Let's hope that all these apps are ready for March Madness. They get all their infrastructure up to date. And
one other thing I wanted to say about the apps is if you are going to Vegas, it's definitely worth checking them out, even if you're going to make bets in the sports book, because they have a lot of sign-up bonuses. We covered on the Miles to Memory site. William Hill had a $50 bonus. You make a $50 bet, they give you a $50. So it's like a guaranteed free bet. Around here, DraftKings gives you a $100 free bet, $100 in casino play. FanDuel was like a $50 casino credit, $50 sports book. And that's another thing. If you're flying anywhere or traveling or visiting family, if you're transitioning through a state that has it, like Michigan, and you're sitting in the airport for a couple hours on a layover, you can actually download them and make the bets. As long as you're in the state, you don't have to live in the state. As long as you're in the state, even if you're flying through Vegas in Nevada, you can sit in the airport and take advantage of some of this stuff. So definitely check it out.
yeah, and this is the kind of golden age of these sports betting apps, which means that they all have huge marketing budgets and they're all being launched and they're competing. So that's where you're seeing all of these promotions. So I expect that over the next year or two, you'll see tons of great offers, and then they'll slowly get less and less as they build up their user bases and they get people to use the apps. So take advantage of this stuff. That's crazy that you're able to get hundreds of dollars in free play, or these different kind of prop bets, or these bets that you can't lose or something like that. So it's great.
The one was you make $100 bet on the Super Bowl, and they give you $400 in free play, like $100 a week for the next 4 weeks. You can't lose with that.
Crazy.
You're definitely going to win. So all this kind of stuff, I've racked up a good $500-$600 for myself, and then several $100s for my wife, and then referring her as well. You get an extra bonus for referring people. So there's definitely ways to take advantage of it.
Yeah, definitely take advantage of all these offers. Pocket the money. Try not to lose it. Gamble responsibly, obviously, because there's a reason they're giving you that money, and they're playing the long game, of course. Now, the next story we have is kind of exciting. Bellagio announced this week that they are going to be renovating their rooms, doing a massive renovation, top to bottom. Bellagio, of course, has pretty nice rooms. I've always found that when they did their last renovation, they did a really good job of keeping them modern, but very different than that sort of gray hue that you see at every hotel these days. And I think this new renovation does a great job of keeping that up to date while also keeping sort of a unique look, and very modern as well. What do you think about it?
Yeah, it almost was like a beachy vibe. Like I got the same type of vibes when you look at the Hyatt at Baja Mar, which I think we have a video up on the channel if you want to check it out. The walkthrough, the light colors, a lot of white, a lot of cool colors in it. I think that's their theme. They were looking for water, a water feel for the fountains, I'm guessing. but even, pastel colored couches. It just looks really modern, really fresh, inviting, welcoming. I know we're going to talk about Wynn next. Totally different vibe I got from that. And I thought Bellagio knocked it out of the park and did a really good job.
Yeah, you're right. The whites are starting to come in, I think, as grays. I've been noticing this just in design, but the grays, the darker grays are starting to go out where you have this white or very, very like light gray hues. And yeah, maybe like that Miami kind of vibe you get, but definitely a lot more color added. So yeah, I really think that they did a good job. Let's talk about Wynn because Wynn was supposed to start their renovations on their rooms before COVID, and now that's been delayed. But they have a kind of a mock setup of one of their rooms in the Plaza Shops at Wynn, and Vital Vegas had gone over there and taken pictures of it. Wynn always has sort of gone for more of an Asian aesthetic, I think, in their properties. If you look at the Wynn rooms right now, they have more of like the bathrooms have like a tan marble, and it looks very much more Asian, I would say, than a typical American hotel. And I think that they pull it off there. I think they pull it off here now. It's definitely a different aesthetic than what Bellagio is going for, but I like it. Although I tend to like those types of design.
I don't like it. I think it feels like it's 10 years old already. The design, it's the darker colors, darker brown, beige, just looks, I mean, it's kind of a little bit of a throwback to Vegas. There's some golds in there and in the darker, more masculine colors, but I feel like it's already old. It's, everything's moving towards lighter colors, and Bellagio is kind of focused on that. And this just feels dated to me, but
yeah, I think, I mean, I think when you travel through Asia, you notice that the luxury hotels there are very different. A lot more wood than is used here, and a lot of really, solid pieces of furniture. And you're seeing all of that in this Wynn room. I agree with you. It's a more old school look, but they're really dealing more with their clientele, which is they have a lot of Asian clientele, a lot of older, wealthier people as well, who aren't maybe kind of looking for as much of an edgy thing like what you will get at Cosmo or Bellagio. I think Bellagio is competing more with Cosmo, honestly, in what they're doing. Cosmo, of course, has all renovated rooms in the last few years. They're right next to each other. They're both kind of trying to get that same younger, more affluent clientele, whereas Wynn, I think, is trying to go for a completely different demographic. I like it because it's different. When you see that Wynn room, it doesn't look like every other hotel room that you see.
Yeah, it looks kind of like Cromwell.
What? This looks nothing like
I'm just
Cromwell.
kidding. I'm
Looks
just
nothing
kidding.
like Cromwell. And
Cromwell
I just
does bring in the darker woods, but Cromwell is more like a sexy vibe than an upscale Asian vibe. At least that's what they're going for. But just with chips, I do wonder with the lighter colors being the future and Bellagio, how well that will hold up. Where something like the Wynn, I think, will hold up well to banging around and scratches and stuff like that. It'll hide it better. Where white walls and stuff, if you scuff it up, you're going to notice right away. So how much extra maintenance are they going to have to do? And how many more stains will you see? How many more hairs in the bed will you get?
yes, and that's the only reason I haven't gone back and stayed at the Bellagio's. No, I actually was going to plan on going there sometime this year. So I'll wait till after the rooms are done and try to get over there. And
Do you want to tell that story real quick of the last time you stayed there?
No, I mean this is a few years ago. There's a whole review on the website, but I got to the room and there was bunches of hairs on the bed. So then we asked for another room and then there was hairs on the bed over there. And the manager thought I was like just trying to get an upgrade, which I wasn't. I was just trying to get the same room. And so finally it got to the point where they couldn't get us a room that didn't have hairs on the bed. We went to a third room, still had hairs on the bed. So they brought like the head of maid. This is the only time I've ever had this happen. The maid come over and remade the bed, and it was fine. But yeah, hair is just everywhere on the bed, and I don't know. It's just a weird thing. I've never had it happen in another hotel. I've always enjoyed Bellagio. Of course, do videos from there. The rooms are beautiful. I've never found the service to be quite luxurious there compared to some other hotels. I've always found the service to be a little bit more down market. I don't know that there's much difference between service at MGM Grand, New York, or Bellagio in my experience. But the rooms there are great. And this is a great renovation, and it is a world-class hotel, world-famous hotel. The rooms, the views of the fountains, if you can get them. Bellagio has a lot to offer, and it's certainly, I don't know, probably the most iconic high-end MGM hotel, right? I mean, in the world, I would say.
Yeah, I would say so. And the only time I've ever had hairs on the bed in Vegas was the El Cortez, and it's the newer tower that's like behind the El Cortez Casino. It's actually, they did it. This was a long time ago, like shortly after they opened, and it looked nice and everything. And I noticed there was hairs on the bed, but it was the end of a long night, and I just said, whatever.
Yeah, sometimes you gotta just gotta go to sleep, right? You've got to just ignore what's happening.
Yeah.
All right, let's close out talking about this story that kind of is bubbling up about Caesars Entertainment and being really cheap with the drinks. I know Vital Vegas had a story about Link, I think, limiting their pours to 0.75 ounces on their drinks, not just the comp drinks, but also if you pay for a drink, they're giving you a very short pour. And then you found a message board talking about how they're eliminating some booze like Grey Goose, and they're not giving Red Bulls at some properties for drinks, for comp drinks. So it seems like they're definitely like the bean counters are in charge. What do you think? Is that going to ruin the experience?
Yeah, it's opposite of what you should be going for. I mean, we're talking about most people are just order a vodka tonic and they don't care what kind of vodka. Very few actually specify. So you're talking you should be pouring longer pours or say, hey, we have the best pour on the strip, something like that to get people in, especially at a place like Link that's known for partying. It's not really a gambler's casino, so they're probably dead in there right now. So anybody that does come in and gamble, you would think that you'd try to give them something to hold on to. And this is just kind of the whole nickel and diming that Vegas has been known for the last couple decades, with resort fees and parking fees and cheap drinks and not giving you, they put the lights on the when you're sitting at the bar top, they have to trigger and gamble so much to get a free drink, and all this kind of different stuff that just feels like they're cheapening the experience, when really they just want to get you liquored up to make bad decisions while you're gambling, which happens all the time. So you're getting your money back in spades. I don't get it. Especially, it'd be one thing if this was only for comp drinks, but the fact that this is for charge drinks, when you're paying $10, $12 a drink and you're getting, basically half of what you should, that's criminal, I think.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I think a lot of casinos already have very light pours on comp drinks, and they're using, very cheap liquors. If you're just ordering a comp drink, you're going to get the house liquor, and that makes sense. If somebody's paying for a drink, they should get what the standard drink is, which is what, 1.25 ounce to 1.5 ounce, depending on what it is. But they're very clearly doing that. To your point, this is just another example of the bean counters being in charge, of short-sightedness, and in some ways of them wanting to have their cake and eat it too. Because like you say, when they do booze up gamblers, people tend to lose more money. And that's always been part of the Vegas business plan, because there are places like you go to Macau, they don't serve free drinks in Macau. Even some regional casinos around the United States are kind of doing away with that, or they're doing, like you say, installing mechanisms to make it so you earn your free drinks. But Vegas was always about the free booze. That's part of the product. It's part of the nostalgia. It's part of why people come here. And they got to be really careful, I think, in doing this, especially with paid drinks. I mean, $12, $15 for a half of a shot is, like you say, criminal.
Yeah, and I'm surprised there isn't some law in Nevada that says this is the minimum pour for a paid alcoholic beverage. It just blows my mind, but I think this will push more and more people. You've seen the resurgence of Fremont Street in downtown, and then Circa's there, so it's got a whole new spark to it. And I think that this will just push more people to go to Fremont. You get better odds, looser machines, usually lower table limits, and the drinks are cheaper and the pours are better. So I think that's just going to push more people away from the strip than there already are.
And the forum that you had found seemed to indicate that every Caesars property has a different food and beverage manager, which is obviously true, but that they may be setting the rules on a property specific level. And so I saw, that Paris isn't serving Red Bulls or Grey Goose, but then some people were able to get it somewhere else. And we'll put a link in there. You can read more about this stuff. But I think that this really points to the fact of what I've said a long time. We need more owners on the Las Vegas Strip. Having all of these casinos owned by a couple of companies isn't a good thing. And we've only seen sort of that classic Vegas been eroded away over time, that experience, as they've added these fees. Some of the fees make sense, like resort fees, as much as people hate them. They're pretty common in the hotel industry now, and we need to move to a place where the total cost is disclosed instead of trying to fight against resort fees, in my opinion. But stuff like this is ridiculous. And in an era when casinos are all over the country, when just about every state has a casino, or most people in most cities can drive within a couple hours to a casino, Vegas has to do better. And letting accountants be in charge to nickel and dime people on the drinks is not the way to do it. So let's hope we fight back. let's take Vegas back.
I'm looking forward to the resort fee battle I'm going to have in a couple weeks, because I booked 2 rooms, and the first room was a comp room. In the second room, I said, well, the resort fee's on there. The room rate was like $140, and the resort fee was $111 for 3 nights. I'm like, I'm Diamond. I should not have that resort fee. And the phone agent didn't seem like she knew much, but she said, well, that's the resort fees off the first room. I'm like, well, yeah, it's a comp. You don't get it off the second room. So I don't know if that's the rules. I've never really looked into it. But if it is, that's a stupid rule. And if it's not, I'm going to have to argue at checkout to get this $110 taken off. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, hopefully it'll be an easy scenario for you, and when you check in, they'll just take it off or check out. So I'll pray for you. And you got that cool poolside cabana, right? Cabana room at Link that you're going to stay at.
Yeah,
so
check it out. So put a video up on that. I don't think the pool is actually going to be open, but it'll be nice to have the outdoor patio area and just kind of see what it's like. And it's super cheap right now, so best time ever to check it out. And then at night you can sit out there and see the high roller and everything. So it'll be cool.
Yeah, look forward to a report on that when you get back. I don't know, about a month from now, I guess, after your trip later in this month. And I think that's going to do it for this week. Let us know what you guys think about the nickel and diming on the alcohol, about all the sports betting apps, and the renovations at Wynn and Bellagio. Leave a comment. Don't forget to share the video. Subscribe to the channel. Thanks so much for watching and listening. See you next time.
See you next week.